All right, let's bring in Jason Furman now, former Economic Council chairman under President Obama, also professor of the practice at economic policy at Harvard, and Doug Holtz-Eakin, former CBO director and now president of American Action Forum. Good to see both of you on this holiday week. I appreciate you joining us. I don't know, Douglas, to you first, dig into what you just heard there from the president, renominating Jerome Powell as the Federal Reserve chair, someone who has been integral in how we have handled this inflationary supply chain crisis situation we're all living through.
Well, I do like the idea that we are returning to the tradition of reappointing chairs who have done a good job. And I think on the whole, Jay Powell has done a good job. But his job going forward is different than the one he's done over the past term. We now have inflation as a top economic problem. That wasn't true historically. He's going to have to change course for the Fed, and I think quickly. Stopping the asset purchases, accelerating that taper. They've acknowledged the need to taper. Now they need to acknowledge the need to do it quickly, and taking on residual inflation in 2022. So that's a very different job than the one he's done for the past several years. And my hope is that he'll change course quickly and get this inflation back under control.
Jason, do you expect that they have all the tools they need to fight inflation? And are you seeing the White House and the Federal Reserve acknowledge how serious this problem is?
Yeah, Sandra, Jay Powell and Lael Brainard are excellent picks. They continues a bipartisan tradition. I think that's really important. This is the same person that President Trump picked and put into that job 4 years ago. But I agree with Doug. They need to pivot. They need to change. You've heard that. You've heard some more serious speeches about inflation coming from the Fed lately. The sooner they act, the less they'll have to do. If they get too far behind the curve, that's when you have to take dramatic steps. They should try to avoid that by starting now. Do
you have the confidence that's going to happen, Douglas? Because I'm just reading through some of the Twitter sphere reaction to the president's speech just a moment ago. I'll give you Katie Pavlich. She points this out. President Biden's explaining how Federal Reserve Chairman will address, wait for it, climate change. How about inflation? He did acknowledge both. I'll give everybody that. But shouldn't there be a bigger emphasis on inflation, especially as we all are about to set our tables for Thanksgiving and we have the highest priced Thanksgiving ever this year?
No question. And I think Chairman Powell is going to get this very quickly. I mean, number one, the White House is now looking actively for people to blame for inflation and move the focus off them. First choice, Federal Reserve, always. And the president, a few weeks back in his remarks, noted that he really did support the independence of a Fed that would combat inflation. So, they're fitting them for the suit that says, these guys caused inflation, they need to fix it. And I think the Fed, internally is rethinking what it thought was these, quote, transitory shocks. We have heard a lot of regional Fed so we've heard a lot of board members worrying more about inflation. That's usually the way the Fed lays the groundwork for the chairman himself to go out and worry about inflation. So it's coming.
There was a little bit of fuzz return that we're getting on your microphone there, Douglas, if you want to address that while I take up Jason Furman. And this question, Miranda Devine points out, good move by President Biden to keep Jerome Powell as Fed chair despite pressure to appoint a socialist. So, Jason, what about that? Brainard was a possibility, someone who dodged a question on whether or not she's a socialist.
That's absurd. I've worked with Lael Brainard for 25 years. She's somebody who understands markets, understands economics, and has, just the idea that she's a socialist, that's just ludicrous epithet. And I predict she'll get bipartisan support for her confirmation, as she should, not something that someone like Senator Toomey would do if she was a socialist.
Let me finish off with this quick point, though. I was pointing out earlier how Larry Summers was critical of some of the moves by the Fed and Jerome Powell. It was also Elizabeth Warren. Remember that Senate Banking Committee? Douglas, she said he's a dangerous man. He's watering down banking regulations. So can he make everybody happy? Final thought, Douglas.
He won't make everybody happy, but he'll get bipartisan support. And I think as vice chair, so will Lael Brainard, who I'm with Jason, is not a socialist. Let's not kid ourselves.
Okay. Excellent discussion. Appreciate both of you joining us. Thank you.